Rezero is a great anime. I don't think you need me to tell you that if you haven't watched Rezero because of all the waifu wars that was going around when the anime was first airing, you are seriously doing yourself a disservice. That's actually what I thought when it was first airing. I didn't want to pick it up because it was just like, Rem's better, Emilia's better, blah. But now that it all calmed down, I decided to watch the series. This was like a couple years ago, and I fell in love with it. This was like around 2017, late 2017, I believe, when I actually picked up the series, and I knew there was a Weiss Schwarz set, and I was super getting into Weiss Schwarz, and I wanted to pick up Rezero, but I felt like it was gonna come to English eventually, and it did. Anyways, we are not here to talk about the anime, we are here to talk about the Weiss Schwarz set. So I didn't invest in the Japanese Weiss Schwarz set of Rezero. I picked up the English Weiss Schwarz set, and I'm honestly glad that I waited because the card we're going to talk about today really needs the English text. And, you know, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But Rezero, it is slightly power crept in the English meta because it was released so late in the Weiss Schwarz release schedule, but there's still a lot of great cards in the set, like the 1-0 Emilia Climax combo. Ridiculous. The 3-2 Rems are still like a beast, and they're really difficult to go over or like run over if you're not prepared for it. But in this video, you can read the title, we're going to talk about my man Subaru Natsuki. This card is pretty much one of my favorite cards of all time. It is so good. And I mean good in like the casual sense. I mean, come on, it's in my YouTube name. But what does this card do and how can we get his long ass effect consistently? Well, I'm here to explain that. Subaru Natsuki is a 3-2 death magic character with 3k power, 3 soul, and a soul when triggered. He has great performance, which is bodyguard, but you know that already. And I will cover his memory effect in a bit, but let's go to his climax combo. Well, I mean, it is a climax combo. It involves a climax, but it's not like a traditional climax combo. At the start of your Encore step, if you have Return by Death, which is a 1-1 event, and this card is reversed, you could pay 7 stock, ditch a climax like a demon, and 4 cards from your hand, send this card to your memory. You heal everything, bounce every card on the field back to their player's hands, and both players send all cards from their waiting room to their deck. Search a Subaru Natsuki, which is just this card, and play it on the field where the Subaru that was sent to your memory was. Its memory effect is at the start of your climax phase. If this is in your memory, choose a magic or weapon character and they get on attack burn for the turn. Okay, let me go through this effect again, but I'll kind of condense it down to make it more simpler. During either player's Encore step, pay 7, you ditch 4 cards plus the climax, so in total you're ditching 5. Send this card to your memory, bounce everything back to your hand, heal everything, then both players free fresh. What is great is that only you get the heal, and all your climaxes are going back into your deck, but so does your opponent. They're getting all their climaxes back in their deck. But granted, you do have 2 cards in your memory, the Return by Death and the Subaru. Then you get the exact same card, the 3-2 Subaru, from your deck and throw it on the field where that last card was. Hopefully you throw it in the middle position, that way it gets great performance, or bodyguard, whichever you want to call it. And then during your turn, you give a character on attack burn. I talked just a little bit about the event, so let's go to that and let's see what that does. Return by Death is a 1-1 event where you mill 3 cards and you salvage a character depending on the amount of magic or weapon characters milled, and you give a character 2k for the turn. Might as well talk about the climax. It is like a demon. It is a 1k1 and an arch when triggered. Pro tip, play a character before you use this card so you could actually use the boost. Getting a character that I will be mentioning a little later, especially in the level 1s, there are actually 2 cards you want to be playing, would be a huge help. I will make a deck profile a little later on to show what the deck that I run looks like, but first let's go into a list of supporter cards. Now, here's a disclaimer. These are suggestions for cards to put in your deck because you won't have a full deck with just the Subaru. These cards are good for either getting your Subaru, the event, or the climax into your hand. Now, this is to note, these are just my personal takes of what I run in my Subaru deck. Again, deck profile will be later, but if you want to run these cards, go ahead. Again, my own suggestion. Starting at the level 0s, we're going to lump both of these cards together because they turbo your event and Subaru quickly. The Ground Dragon is a ditch bond with the Subaru, and it has another effect that's really not worth your time, and the Merchant gets 1k5 if there's 1 or less characters, and on play you can pay 1 and salvage the event. I personally say skip the dragon because you have a lot of different ways to get the Subaru into your hand, but this is the only way to get returned by death in your hand, either that or hard drawing it. So if anything, run the merchant. These couple of cards can all get the Subaru. The salvaging Brainstorm Ram can get Basiru from the waiting room. Pure Maiden Emilia is on play, top check, and add if it's a character and you ditch. So that can get your Subaru. Lap Pillow Emilia is a draw ditch climax combo with any blue climax. That is just good in the sense that it's filtering out your hand and you're getting another draw. So if you have a merchant but you drew the event, you could activate this card's climax combo. You know, it's not listed as a climax combo, but it is. And you know, draw, ditch the merchant. Also, you could draw your climaxes at will, and it's any climax. You could play Like a Demon and get the effect. You could even play the 1-0 Emilia combo and get the effect. Speaking of which, Silver-Haired Beauty Emilia just for the extra consistency. This Emilia is great because you are milling and you are getting a character. If you top check the Subaru, get him. If not, you did do some mills so you could cycle through your deck a whole lot quicker. So you could hard draw the event or the climax. And you are running 4 books because of this climax combo, and the Subaru climax has an arch, so if you trigger it, you'll get the climax back. If you trigger the book climax, you get a free draw. In set 2, I would suggest Emilia will teach. She lets you draw if you trigger a book icon, so you'll be getting 2 draws and you ditch 1. So, disclaimer, I made this video before the Memory Snow set is out, so I'm not going to count those cards. Plus, all of those cards are trait locked. Like, if you don't know, you can run the older cards with the Memory Snow cards, but all the cards in the Memory Snow set only work with Memory Snow cards. So there is that to keep in mind. Plus, for the love of Madoka, do not run Leave Everything to Me Ram. You will literally be going against this combo. Okay, main plays. You want to get this 1/1 event into your memory as quickly as possible. Now, because of this is a cost 1 and stock is very, very tight, you do not want to run any cost cards because you need the stock for the event and the Subaru. Also, if you draw the climax either by hard drawing it or by the effect of this card here, you want to at least have one of them in your hand at all times as a just in case. Same goes with the Subaru because you do not know what your late game is going to be like, so it's always good to just have one in your hand just in case. So during your level 3, you play one of your Subarus, and because of this you are going to lose 2 stock, but if you are playing it during your turn, when you attack you'll be gaining 3 stock, so you'll be fine there. Ideally, you will play some weenies, but let's say you have these in your back row, you just want to move these up more than anything. That way you still keep your hand size in check, and doesn't really matter if these get reversed because these are just going to get bounced back into your hand because of the Subaru effect. This deck is a big resource management type deck, but you know, honestly this whole game is a resource management, but this Subaru deck is just pretty much just takes it to the extreme. So you'll go ahead, attack with your side cards like it doesn't really matter, and then this card you would want to attack last. Now you do want your Subaru in your middle position because when it gets an extra copy of itself, it states that it has to go to the position that the last card was. So when this gets sent to your memory, you have to put the other Subaru that you get from your deck in that position. So if you put it in the middle position, you will get great performance. Again, it's just bodyguard, but 3k body, yeah, he's gonna get run over. So again, attack, gets reversed. People don't really remember that he swings for 3 soul, plus, you know, whatever you trigger, but hey, whatever. Then you will pay 7, ditch your 4 cards plus the climax, heal your entire clock, then you send this card to your memory, bounce everything back to your hand, you free fresh, and then you get the Subaru with bodyguard on the field. Now with bodyguard, your opponent has to attack this card before it could be able to attack anything else, but he has 3k power, so yeah, your opponent's running this thing over fairly easily. Then we are going to assume that this is going to die because, you know, 3k power, how is it not going to die? Play whatever. Hopefully you're still alive because, you know, you will cancel like a god. Then the Subaru that's in your memory will give one of your characters on attack burn, so it doesn't really matter. Pretty much just whatever. We'll play this felt too. Just peck your opponent to death plus a burn 1. Hopefully you will be going for game at this point. Now, what is great about this combo is, like I mentioned earlier, is that you can play during your opponent's turn. So let's say you have everything, but hey, you want to wait. let's say this is your field. During your opponent's turn, let's say they reversed this, they reversed that, and of course, they reversed the Subaru. Now, the Subaru effect does activate. You could pay your 7, ditch your 4 in your climax, bounce everything back to hand, heal everything, and then send that to your memory. Then you bring out another Subaru. One thing about waiting during your opponent's turn is that you really gotta make sure that you do not die. That is like important. What is nice about waiting is that you do hope that your opponent overextends and they will have no stock or little stock to play any big level cards during their turn. But then again, you are giving your opponent a turn to attack. You do not want that. You can lose. Also, big thing to note, this has to be on reverse on the field. Clock shoots will literally ruin your entire game plan. This deck is really good if you're a bit behind in the game because your opponent can bring out all their strong characters and they may be a little low on stock at that point, and you could be like, now just crash everything and just bounce everything back. Now, if you are wondering, I do have an entire Subaru Natsuki centered deck. I will be making a deck profile of it very soon, and I will be explaining various other combos and stuff that you can be doing, but mainly that is how this Subaru Natsuki card works. Ooh, that's a sneak peek right there. Subaru Natsuki is a wild card. It is very unique. That does make people question who will run it because this is a card that you need to have a whole deck built around it. And if one thing goes wrong, you literally do not have a backup plan. If you didn't get the event in your memory, or if you didn't draw the climax, or if you don't have the stock, the hand size, shit, the Subaru, you are literally done. You might as well just scoop up now. This is actually one of my favorite cards in the entire game. It's dumb as shit, and it is a fun alternative when building a Rezero deck. It's a meme deck more than anything, but it is always satisfying to get the combo off, and your opponent and you will have a nice laugh, and that's why we play the game. It's to have fun. Anyway, my next deck profile will be on the Subaru Natsuki, so keep an eye out on that. This has been Lunchbox5930 with Casually Weiss Schwarz. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I will see y'all in the next video.